Hey, this is Iona Smith and you're watching the evaluation of my A2 Media Coursework.
Oh, it's what you do to me.
I have attracted my target audience through the use of familiar indie music conventions by relying on existing style models to give me inspiration. I have been able to create what I believe my target audience would want. This has been achieved by using similar shots to those existing in indie music videos. It appears that close-ups are vital in this genre, as well as posing my models in a way that I find appropriate in comparison to existing CD digipacks and posters. The audience of my media products would be indie music fans who like artists like the Plain White T's, Bright Eyes and Coldplay. The genre of this music is deviating, but the consumers appear to enjoy the variation that can happen in one album. I therefore believe that if I were to record the entire album, the song features would range from upbeat tracks to a softer sound in an attempt to satisfy the entire target audience. I believe that I've successfully represented the indie music and fashion scenes within my task. In both my main and ancillary tasks, I've represented the indie social group through the clothing that my models and actors wear. I've also represented my target age group as the artists and actors are all within the target age range of 16 to 25-year-olds. By using this age group of people in my video and ancillary tasks, the social group I'm representing can relate to what the characters go through and the emotions they are feeling. Finally, the mise-en-scène within my main and ancillary tasks represent the working social class group, as the colours are all implications of living in conditions that are not seen in upper class life. This idea of urban versus nature, where things are a little worn and used, will be recognisable to my target audience, as it will be included in their everyday life. I believe a record company like Hollywood Records would distribute my media products, as they currently distribute a wide range of artists from various genres. Owned by the Walt Disney Company, Hollywood Records distribute music from bands like Queen and Breaking Benjamin, as well as the other end of the genre scale, with artists like Selena Gomez. They also currently distribute the Plain White T's, the band whose song I covered. As the Plain White T's are of the indie genre, I can't think of any reasons why they would not distribute another indie artist like Tom Holton. Looking back at my first drafts, I believe I have developed my editing skills in progression to the full product. I have learned to meet conventions to the best of my ability and consider what the audience would want to see. I believe that for this genre of music, there are only a certain number of risks you can take when creating a product, as the audience expect to consume something that's rather familiar to them. If I could change any aspect of my music video, I would firstly change the quality of camera that I used. I faced this problem during the creation of my first draft, as I had problems with pixelation. I moved on to a better quality camera, however this was still not sufficient for the quality of video I would have liked to create. By the time I reshot some of the scenes, I used an even higher quality camera. This did cause problems, however, as my previous footage was a lower quality as well as a larger video ratio. If I had time and finance to redo this video, I would definitely purchase a more advanced camera, such as the Canon XA10 or the Panasonic HDC MD-H1. As they have full HD capabilities and less chance of pixelation when the footage is uploaded. Other aspects of my video that I would improve are the lighting and editing skills that I used. Although I used a high quality editing program, Final Cut Pro, I believe my knowledge of the editing tools and lighting were limited, making it harder for me to produce the video I'd imagined. I intend to broaden my knowledge in these aspects for future projects, as well as the smoothness of camera shots, as some of the footage collected was not to the standard I wanted, and I found it hard to pan and zoom without making it appear to stutter. For my ancillary tasks, I believe I would develop my editing skills on Photoshop before changing my products, so that they could appear more professional. The main aspect I would change in my ancillary tasks is the images that I took. Although I retook images when redrafting my tasks, I still believe this was far too rushed. I would have preferred to have enough time to create a portfolio of potential images, choosing my favourites from the ones that I took. I do believe some of them worked really well, such as the image that I used for my front cover of the CD and the image for the poster. But there were some inserts in the digipack where I had to compromise some of my ideas due to the images being poor quality. If I were to redo this task, I would ensure that I used a professional quality camera in an attempt to gain better images.
Hey there, Delilah, I know times are getting hard.
While producing my music video, it was clear that the indie genre had very particular conventions, which the majority of videos stuck to. The videos often had a split screen, with black and white or sepia tones. Furthermore, if there was a narrative within the video, it was often fragmented, with the full story not being told or left at a cliffhanger. In an attempt to meet these conventions, I included most of the above. I began my video with a split screen and had a desaturated effect on a lot of my footage in an attempt to get the black and white effect without removing the boldest colours, as I believe they represented hidden messages within my work, such as the determination of the lead male to get his girl back. My narrative was thorough enough for the audience to understand without getting the full story, and was left with full closure. Very often, the videos contained footage of the band or artist performing the track. Although I did not do this for the first few drafts, I thought it would add to the emotion of the main character in the narrative if he was shown singing about how he feels. Furthermore, I included footage of the artist playing his guitar as it linked to the lyrics. For my ancillary tasks, I annotated star models that would be considered indie or alternative rock in an attempt to replicate the conventions in my work. I discovered that very often the digipack had overall house style colours that were consistent throughout each section of the CD. I therefore chose to use green as my main house style colour at first. I realised in time that although this matched the bold colour schemes of albums like White Blood Cells, it didn't quite suit the softer sound of my music video, which was a cover of Plain White T's Hey There Delilah. It was then later decided to use sepia tones as my main house style colours, as it suited the sound of the artist, as well as matching with the music video. As for my album promoting poster, I tried to do the same by matching the colours to some of those from the music video. I did, however, end up challenging the conventions of one of my star models by not featuring a representative image of the artist, but of the model himself. This went up against what was shown on the Blink-182 star model I used, but matched the New Found Glory star model. When creating my products, I had to keep each task in mind to ensure they linked well in terms of house style and genre. An attempt to combine them that I believe was very successful was my use of sepia filters in all products. This meant the house style colours for both the print-based text and filters for the video were very similar. They created the same feelings of nostalgia while keeping the typical conventions of indie genre alive. Another combination of my text was the use of the singer and actor as my model for the ancillary tasks. Originally, the ancillary tasks featured a previous main character. However, I felt that when the video was changed during the later drafts, so the removal of the original character Tom, it would not suit the digipack and magazine advert if a different male was represented on the CD. Stereotypically, artists are featured on the front of their own albums and on adverts for their music. It could be argued, on the other hand, that artists such as Kanye West use mascots to sell their music. Kanye West uses the bear, as this is a way to sell a brand instead of their own lifestyle. This was a valid argument that I considered, but in retrospect, it was wise to change the character featured on my ancillary task, as this suits my genre's conventions. The combination of the model on the ancillary task and character in the video would make it easier for my target audience to recognise the artist when watching music channels or browsing music shops. There are instances where the artist has been confused for someone else when they use a different actor or model for selling their music. An example of this would be Ed Sheeran's Lego House. During the video, Rupert Grint lip-syncs Ed's song, which rose questions as to whether he was the original singer, possibly using Ed Sheeran as his stage name. This was feasible at the time, as Ed Sheeran was not well known at this point. From this, I learnt that artists who are not as well known as others should not use representative models to sell their music until their face is famous enough to be recognised. Reading the comments I've received on YouTube and Facebook, I agree with some, but not with others. Overall, it seemed my audience enjoyed the video, with positive comments including my use of split screens, the contrast of colours, the use of a singer in my narrative, and the narrative being very clear. I'm particularly glad that the audience liked the contrasting saturation in the shots, as this was meant to represent the past and present, as well as interpreting the mood of the situations. The sepia tones relate to feelings of nostalgia that the characters feel as they look back on previous parts of their relationship. And the shots of the characters in the middle of the narrative are an attempt to imply that the present, falling out with Delilah, is grim and dark. Furthermore, the black and white clips of the singer add feeling to his words, but the lack of colour suggests that he is not part of the current narrative, meeting the conventions of my star models, such as the original Hey There Delilah by the Plain White T's. In terms of improvements, there were particular observations that were made by more than one member of my target audience. An example of this is the fact that the video ratio changed throughout the video due to different sections being filmed on different cameras. This was an issue I had faced during editing, but I was unable to fix the dilemma without refilming, something that I didn't have time to do before my deadline. With more time, I would have been able to resolve this. There were also comments about the transitions disrupting the narrative. I agree with this comment, as watching the video back, it seems often quite jumpy, and removes the smoothness of the storyline. I use these transitions, however, to show changes in time, location, or reality, so moving from a person's thoughts to real life. Without these transitions, I'm not sure that my audience would have understood these aspects of my video. A comment that I didn't agree with is that the mise-en-scène of the woodland scenes did not seem personal to the characters. The reason I chose to film in this location for the redrafts is because I wanted to portray this place as Tom and Delilah's own little piece of belonging, where they could escape daily life and just be together. It's a shame that this did not come across in my final product. If I were to reshoot the video, I would attempt to make this a lot clearer. From this feedback, I have learned that the audience take in almost every detail of a music video. They observe and relate to characters where possible, as well as using it to escape their reality and suspend their disbelief for a few minutes. I've also learned that to make a successful video, it is vital to pay attention to the audience's wants and needs and ensure that they get what they require from the videos in terms of uses and gratifications. When researching and planning my main task, I use technologies like YouTube to view potential star models. These were very useful when I had to create my own text, as I gained a sound idea of what is involved in particular genres. During the production of my music video, I've learnt to use Final Cut Pro from scratch. Before the tutorials I received, I had never used this program before. After a bit of practice, I found it quite easy to use, finding that I could use various video filters and transitions to make my product look more professional. For my ancillary task, I used Photoshop. I had prior experience with this software due to my AS coursework. However, I learned to develop these previous skills and further my knowledge of unknown tools to create a more professional appearing product in comparison to last year. I've learned to use techniques such as colour popping and edge feathering to make certain aspects of my ancillary tasks stand out and to change the overall appearance of the poster and digipack. A concept I learnt from my evaluation was receiving audience feedback using technology like YouTube, Facebook and blogs. It was easier for my audience to access them instead of finding me and requesting the text in person. This also gave my audience an option to remain anonymous if they so wished, removing the pressure to become entirely positive about my products, which they may feel pressure to do if I was there asking them in person. So that's my media evaluation. Thanks for watching.